So in this example, we're asked to factor 2x squared plus 10x plus 12. If you notice, what really makes this problem special is the 2 that is in front of the x squared, the one that I circled in red. Whenever there is a number in front of the x squared, all you have to do is ask yourself, is there any way that I can divide the entire problem by the same thing? Is there any number that can go into the three terms? So in this example, is there a number that can go into 2x squared, the 2x squared, the 10x, and the 12? Well, there is, right? 2 can divide all three terms, right? So let's go ahead and divide the three terms by 2. If we divide 2x squared divided by 2, we're going to get x squared, right? Because 2 divided by 2 is 1, right? And if you divide 10x divided by 2, you're going to get 5x, right? 10 divided by 2 is 5. And then if you divide 12 by 2, you're going to get 6, right? So by dividing everything by 2, we've actually just made the problem smaller and easier to deal with. We've also made the 2 that was in front of the x squared go away. As you can see, it's no longer there. All right, so here's the part that is very crucial, and you have to make sure you get this part here. After dividing the problem by the same thing, you always want to include that number that you divided by on the outside of the problem. Okay, so this 2 that we divided the problem by, we're going to make sure to include it right here. And the reason for that is because the 2 came out of the original problem, right? Technically, the 2 that is here, the 2 that you divided by, came out of this original problem. So you want to make sure to include it after you're done dividing, right? Now, we've done the most important part of this problem, really, because now we just have to factor this problem right here, right? We just have to factor this. And this is easy to factor because we just have a regular problem, like a regular trinomial. Okay, so go ahead and factor x squared plus 5x plus 6, okay, using either the X box method, which is the box and diamond method, or the foiling method, whichever one you learn, right? Whichever one works for you. However, I made a video for the X box method, which is the diamond and box method. So if you haven't seen that video yet, just go ahead and click the link that has appeared on the top of your screen and watch that video, and then come back and you should be able to factor x squared plus 5x plus 6, all right? But if you already know how to factor a basic trinomial, then you should know that when you factor x squared plus 5x plus 6, you're actually going to get x plus 2 and x plus 3, right, as your factors. All right, so when you are done with that, the key thing that you cannot forget is to bring down the 2, okay? The same 2 that you divided by at the very beginning, right? This same 2 is what you must include in your final answer. So guys, that's actually everything that you have to do, okay? And you're done. Okay, so I'm just going to do one more example. All right, in this example, we're going to be factoring 3x squared plus 9x minus 12. Okay, just like the original problem that I did, the first example, you notice that we have a situation right here. We do not like the 3 that is in front of the x squared. So whenever you see a number in front of the x squared, you ask yourself, is there anything that can divide the entire problem? Is there any number that you can think of that can go into 3, right? It can go into this 3 here. It can go into the 9, can go into the negative 12 as well, right? It so happens that there is, right? 3, right? 3 can go into all three terms. So now that we've established that, let's just go ahead and do that then. So 3x squared divided by 3 gives us x squared, right? Because 3 divided by 3 is 1, so the 3's cancel out. And then 9x divided by 3 is going to give you 3x, right? And then negative 12 divided by 3 is going to give us a negative 4, Okay? And then after you do this, remember what we said in the last example, you have to put the number that you divided by. So this 3 that we divided by, we're going to put it outside of the brackets, right? So now that this is done, all you have to do is do the final step, right? Just go ahead and factor this. Okay, you can factor this using the box and diamond, which is the Xbox method. Again, the video is right there for you to watch it. Okay, or you can do it using the foiling method, right? Whatever method you prefer. When you factor x squared plus 3x minus 4, you're actually going to get x plus 4 and x minus 1. Okay, and then you will just go ahead and bring down the 3 again, right? The 3 that we divided by at the very beginning. And that's it. That's my answer. All right, so I have one last example because I really want to show you guys this different way that the problem can be presented. Okay, so here we go. All right, so in the third and final example, we're asked to factor 2x squared plus 5x plus 3. Okay, again, you notice that there is a number to the left of the x squared. So from what we learned in the 2 previous examples, whenever you see a number to the left of the x squared, you just have to see if there is any way that you could divide the entire problem by the same thing. Is there anything that could go into the 3 terms, right? Is there anything that can divide 2x squared, 5x, and 3? Well, there's nothing, right? There's nothing that can divide 2, 5, and 3. So because of that, we're going to actually just skip this whole process of dividing the problem by the same thing. And we're going to go straight into factoring. Okay, we're going to go straight into factoring. We're just going to go ahead and factor this problem the way it is. Okay, so keep that in mind. Whenever you cannot divide the entire problem by the same thing, you go straight into factoring the way you learned it. Okay, whether you learned the box and diamond method, right, which is the Xbox method, or whether you learned foiling, you just go straight into that. Well, I like the Xbox method, the box and diamond method, and that's the one that I made a video for. You can go ahead and watch it again if you need to, but I'm going to go ahead and show it here this time around using the problem that we're working on now. Okay, remember the rules for the box and diamond method, right? You start with the diamond, which is the x here, all right? And then all you have to do is multiply the first and the last term together. So you multiply these 2 terms together, okay? And again, the key thing that you have to note here is that I am also taking the 2, right? I'm multiplying the 2 with the x squared and also the 3. So I'm not just circling the x squared. Okay, this is a very common mistake that happens. A lot of people will just multiply the x squared and the 3 as opposed to the 2x squared and the 3. Okay, so this gives you 6x squared, right? 6x squared because 2 times 3 is 6. So it's 6x squared and not 3x squared. So that's a very key thing to note. And then on the bottom, what do you put on the bottom? You put on the bottom the middle term, okay? The middle term, which is what we learned in the video that I made earlier. So you put the middle term, which happens to be 5x, okay? So you put that 5x right here. Okay, so on the top, you multiply the first term and the last term, you put it on top, and on the bottom, you take the middle term, you put that on the bottom, right? The middle term goes on the bottom. And then after that, guys, after that, you basically then go into this sides, right? The side numbers, right? Remember the rules for the side numbers, right? The rule says that you're basically looking for 2 numbers that will multiply to give you the top and add to give you the bottom, right? So what are 2 things that can multiply to give you 6x squared and add to give you 5x, right? So what are 2 numbers that can multiply to give you 6 and add to give you 5? 2 and 3, okay? 2 and 3. So we're going to put those right here on the side. So it's going to be 2x and 3x. All right. So again, you can always go back and watch the original video that I made for factoring, and it will help this make much more sense. Okay. And then after your diamond, you take these two side numbers, right? You take two side numbers, and where do you put them? You put them right here in the diamond. So you put 2x here and you put 3x here, right? And you can put 3x here and 2x here. Like, you can swap them, it doesn't matter. But you have to put them in these two boxes here. And then for the other two sides, you put the first term, right? The 2x squared that was here, you put that into the first box here. I'm going to write 2x squared here, and then on the bottom right box, you put the 3, right? The last term. Again, this is something we learned in the first video. So I'm going to put the 3 here. And then the last step is simply to just find what your factors are. Okay, so we just need to figure out what the factors are going to be. Okay, what are the factors? Okay, and the way that I taught this in the previous video is you simply need to use your GCF method. What is the GCF method? You just have to ask yourself, what is the GCF for each column and row? So let's start here. What is the GCF for 2x squared and 2x? In other words, what can go into 2x squared and 2x, right? And I actually showed the best way to do this. You can actually break down the numbers. So 2x squared is 2 times x, right? And then 2x is 2 times x. So notice how there is a 2 and an x in both of them. So that tells me that 2x is a GCF that should come out of this row, right? And then you're going to do the same thing up here. What is the GCF of 2x squared and 3x, right? I have the arrow running through those two boxes. So what is the GCF of 2x squared and 3x? Well, let's see. So I already have 2x squared here. Broken down. I'm going to add the 3x there. So 3x breaks down to 3 times x. So notice how 2x squared and 3x just have an x in common, right? So that's what goes right here, right? So 2x squared and 3x have an x in common. Now next I'm going to do this one. What does 3x and 3 have in common? Well, all I can do is just simply add the 3 here, right? And break down 3. How does that work? Well, 3 is just 3 times 1, right? 3 is 3 times 1. So notice how 3x and 3 have a 3 in common. So that's what comes out of. And then finally, I have 2x and 3. Well, there is 2x right here, and then the 3 line is right here. So what does 2x and 3 have in common? Well, they don't really have much in common, which is normally a hint that it's actually going to be 1, right? So this is 2 times x. Okay, 2x is 2 times x times 1, right? Because everything really can be multiplied by 1. It's just invisible. So technically, 2x and 3 have a 1 in common. Okay, so that's the one that goes here. All right, so now we've actually found our factors. And I always like to double check. By saying 2x times x is 2x squared, 2x times 1 is 2x, 3 times x is 3x, 3 times 1 is 3. Okay, so my factors are 2x plus 3 as one of my factors, and x plus 1. So this is my answer. Okay, so that's my final answer, 2x plus 3 and x plus 1. Again, that's because obviously this is a positive 3 and this is a positive 1 here. So that's why it gives you that. Now notice that there is no number in front of, we didn't put any number outside the brackets like we did with the first two examples. And that's because we didn't divide the original problem by anything. So there's no need to put anything in front of your answer. Okay, so hopefully this helps you know how to factor a trinomial when there is a number in front of the x squared, right? when the number in front of the x squared is bigger than 1. And if you do, I hope that you go ahead and like this video and subscribe so that way I can continue to make more videos for you. You can also send me your math problems to my email, and then I can also help make videos for you as well that way. Well, thank you guys for watching. Have a good rest of your day.